Hey, everybody, welcome to the Freedom Nation podcast. Once again, it's Jeff here, and I am super excited to have Devan Gonzales on. And I'm super excited that Devan is not in LA on the side of the mountains that is getting burned up. He is on the opposite side, he assures me, and the wind is blowing away from him. So we just feel awful for the folks out in LA who've lost everything, but he is an example of someone who's still going at this point. So stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit about his business today and some of the things he does from a fitness perspective, fitness franchise perspective. So hold on. We'll be right back with you in a second.
All in you. Everything you're looking for, it's all in you. You gotta believe that it's all in you. Everything you're searching for, it's all in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Devan, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor.
Still living, man. So yeah, I'm glad that everything's worked out for you, and you're on the right side of the mountain at this point. So, and as he was telling me beforehand, there's no smoke anymore, which is a good sign.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you can see the smoke, starting to creep up and build up over the mountain, but now I don't see any smoke, so I think that's a good sign.
Life is good, at least.
Yes.
So, well, let's kick off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? How did you get to where you're at today?
Definitely. I mean, it's a long story, but not long in terms of a super strenuous story, but just a lot of different avenues that have collectively given me the knowledge to get to where I am today.
Okay.
But it all started as, I was a martial arts instructor in high school. I started working at the age of 13, not out of necessity. Both my parents worked, and I just, got a black belt, and they offered me a under the table job. And I was like, that sounds cool.
Deal.
And so that was my initial foot in the water to working and really understanding money, and that things cost more than you understand, because I wanted the best paintball guns and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And all of a sudden my bank account felt it. But going into college, it was one of those things where that job didn't line up with the college schedules and stuff, so I had to figure out how to transition. And so I got a job as a sales consultant at LA Fitness, and I was selling personal training memberships and stuff, but I couldn't do any of the personal training.
Oh.
And so I didn't really like that aspect. And then I was constantly getting in trouble for not following the script that they were giving me, even though I was getting sales. So it didn't really make sense to me why I was still getting in trouble. And I was like, I'm doing what you want, but that led me into transitioning into the personal trainer role and getting my foot in the water. So I was a business major. That was my degree for college I was going for, which I kind of say is like the new undeclared one. Everyone goes for business management and transitions to something.
Yeah, I have no idea what I want to do, but at least I have a business degree.
Exactly. So that's what I was going. And then I was doing personal training, and then I learned about kinesiology, the study of human movement. And I was like, wait, I could just get a degree in this? This is so much more fun. So I switched that over, and during the college, I was telling myself the personal training is an amazing college job, and that's what I saw it as. I graduated college, and I was like, okay, I want to be a firefighter. I mean, and that was because my dad was a LAPD, and he didn't want me to go that route. So I was like, okay, the next best thing in my mind was a firefighter. But I was doing it out of something that was positioned in my mind as a necessity. Like I needed a steady career. I needed to do these things because my parents were both brought up that way, and so forth. But I had to, I went to EMT school, and then when I passed that, and I was like, wait, I'm going to have to work as an EMT and make half of what, if not like a third of what I'm making now, just as a resume builder. Like, I don't want to do that. And then it was a realization to me. I was like, why should I be held back from someone telling me how many hours I can work, how much I can make, and so forth. Like, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing. So I had that talk with my parents and let them know I'm going this route, and I'll figure it out. And they were nervous, but it worked out. And so that personal training career had started to flourish. I worked for corporate gyms, I worked for private gyms, and then I finally stepped out on my own and launched my own personal training company grew that to 6 figures, and that was not online. That's the one thing that most personal trainers, want an online business because it's easy and this and that. Like I grew one with no social media, and it was all in person, all referral based, and I was loving it. And honestly, like personal training to me it's not even a job. Like you get to talk to people and help people out
and do what you love doing anyhow.
Exactly. And then during that time, I also helped launch a private prep school for basketball athletes, middle school, and then helped them launch. And then I wanted to open my own gym, so I had to step away from the prep school, and ended up launching Strive 11 Fitness with my business partner, who was one of my clients. And after 2 years, we started building it out into a franchise system, got a franchise coach who launched his own franchise as well. And then now last year just launched it, and now we have a location opening up in Tampa, Florida. And then this week we should be closing the deal on Dallas, Texas, and hopefully next week is Vancouver, Washington as well.
Super cool. So yeah, you are coast to coast.
Yes, sir.
Love it. So talk a little bit about Strive. What is it that you guys do?
So it's a boot camp style model, right? And the creation, I'll rewind to like why it was created. So when I was personal training is expensive, and not every person can afford to train, 2 times a week.
Individually with a trainer. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, even my sessions were anywhere from $80 to $100 an hour, right? So it's like off of supply and demand, I knew I needed to create something else. So in between my sessions, my clients would go to these boot camps and stuff, and they would always come back with different complaints, but they're all the same complaints from different boot camps. And I was like, it's weird that no one's solving these core issues. Right. So then I was like, I wonder if it's just not possible, or if it's, just something that everyone's just doing kind of a copy and paste and building their own gym. Yeah. So from that was the slow birth of Strive 11. And so now Strive 11 is a boot camp style gym, because when you come in, it feels like a boot camp. It feels like the rest, but we don't have class times, right? Which is the biggest thing. So you don't have to worry about, pre-scheduling or trying to get into one of those crowded 5 a.m. classes. You just walk in the door, just like an LA Fitness or a 24-hour Fitness or whatever you got near you. Okay. So you can come in during our operating hours. And then once you come in, one of the trainers shows you the warm-up, and then they'll put you into one of the 11 stations. And that's where the 11 comes from, even though we joke with our members and make up random sayings and quotes of why it says 11. Yeah. And then they look at the wall and we're like, no, there's 11 stations, but each of the stations is different every day, depending on the muscle split, depending on the day of the week. So you won't get bored of doing the same workouts over and over again. Like you won't do the same workout for a few months. But once you're done with whether you do one round, so each station is on an interval timer with the whole room for 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So everyone rotates together. You're not waiting on anyone. No one's waiting on you. If you do one round, 1 through 11, that's 30 minutes. You can do up to 2 rounds, and then you can do the cool down / ab station. Now, the cool thing is, like with traditional boot camp models, is there's set class times. You have to work out for an hour, or you have to work out for 45 minutes. Our model's designed around busy schedules. So you can come in and be like, look, I can't do the warm up today. I only got 30 minutes. Perfect. Let's get you in.
Get in there. Yeah.
You're in, you're out in 30 minutes. Other days you're like, I got all the time in the world. Perfect. Do the warm up, do 2 rounds, do the cool down station. You're out in like 75 minutes ish. Right. Yeah. So it all varies. The memberships are all the same. It's just, what do you have available? What's your fitness level? Let's custom tailor the workout to you. So the nice thing about it is not having to hire a personal trainer, because each of the stations, while there might be a base level exercise, it can be modified harder or easier depending on your capabilities or your restrictions if you have an injury or something of that nature. So it's almost like you get a personal trainer for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it. I mean, that's the beauty of the boot camp model is, you can do it for less because you've got more, you're utilizing a group setting and all that. So are you high, so basically, is this a model where you can plug this into another gym, or is it, these are absolutely their own animal?
They are their own animal, but in the near future, I'll kind of give this out there to the audience. In the near future, if you do currently own a big box gym and you're looking to add an additional revenue stream, we are going to be adding a licensing version, which is like, let's say you have a studio room and you want to add something extra. This is something you can add to your already current model, but we haven't released that yet, because we're trying to work out the bugs before,
well, of course. And you don't want everybody to just start doing whatever the hell they want to do. and
Exactly.
taking your idea, because it's said, I mean, it's not something that, it's nothing earth shatteringly new that you guys do, but it's how you do it at that point, and that's your secret sauce.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, so what's the model? Is it typically like one personal trainer for X amount of people, or what is it?
So with the typical bootcamp model, it is usually one trainer for
Yeah.
anywhere from 20 to 60 people. But for us, our whole thing was that you can't give enough attention to that many people, right? So you'll walk into one of those and you see people doing their form wrong and all that kind of stuff. So we actually have 2 trainers on the floor at
Okay.
any given time, but the floor is maxed out at 22 to 33, depending on the location
Cool.
size, people. And then you got to think in a given hour, though, we could have anywhere from 88 to 122 people because of the model. It's people are
Yeah.
starting, people are finishing all day long. But we don't have a front desk staff. We don't have a sales staff. We actually teach our trainers how to do both of those things. The check-ins, that's so that they, walk in, if someone walks in, they check in and you greet them by name. That takes 2 seconds. But then as a sales part, coming from the personal trainer side, like you normally don't get commission, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get the bonuses. You have to do all the rapport building and then you hand it off to someone else to make the money. Right. And so that always like sucked, coming from my standpoint. So it's like, why not just teach them how to do it? It helps them, grow and earn more, but also it reduces our overhead of not needing an additional staff.
Sure. I love that. Yeah. And I mean, the greeting somebody with their name and not a grunt, that's a bonus plan right out of the gate. So
Exactly. I mean, that's the only way to really build a community and to build rapport with people is you say hi and then their name. If you're just like, oh, hey, and then all of a sudden they're talking to you like they know you, but you don't remember who they are. It's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like I said, the one gym I used to go to, it's like you walk in and you have the group of like 3 or 4 trainers sitting up front, and they just grunt when you walk in and check in. It's like, okay, fine. I don't really care. I'm not really looking to make friends with you, but it would be nice if you just at least said hello at that point. So let's talk a little bit about the franchise model and how that came about.
Yeah. So, I mean, the franchise model, we had a decision basically either open our second location or launch the franchise version. And we are still going to be opening our second location as well, but we decided to go the franchise model first. That way I can dedicate more time to the foundational franchisees instead of, splitting my time between more of our locations and more franchisees. So for us, that was a decision, we made in that, but also we wanted to launch a franchise because one of our number one core values is to have a positive impact. And how can we do that faster by opening our locations or with other people opening locations side by side us, right? We impact their trainers, we impact them, and then we also impact their members. So our ripple effect gets to extend to transform more people's lives in a faster manner.
Yeah, cool. Now, are you looking for master franchisees at this point, or are you guys controlling that?
So we're not doing master franchises in terms of like someone owning a territory, like let's say a state or a half of a state or something like that.
Okay.
We're gonna be saving that for a little bit. But right now we do have basically the option you can buy 1 or you can buy up to 3. We cap it at 3.
Okay.
Up front, so you do become a multi-unit owner at that point, and they're opened up one after another over a time span, so they're not all at once. But even with that, like I've been very strict on who can do that. Like we have to have a meeting, and when you guys come out to headquarters and stuff like that, and actually had to kind of cut a franchise sale off because she would only do it if it was a 3-unit deal, and I was like, I'm just not getting the vibe that you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, I just have to protect the franchise system and the future franchisees from this. So it is.
Well, it's your reputation. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's a two-way street because you're providing them with the secret sauce, but they've also got to be able to follow it keep the quality level up there. Exactly. Now, if I'm interested, do I have to be a personal trainer, or is there a training for that, or how does it work?
So there is training for it, and if you did want to do training, we actually have a partnership with a certification company and all that kind of stuff to get like 70% off of normally their courses. But our model is actually built so that fitness enthusiasts, just people that want to have another additional business, all can open this, because not only do we have the turnkey system for you, but we actually provide all the workouts for all the locations.
Okay,
right?
cool.
So addition to the 2 trainers, on the floor, we actually have 4 TV monitors that are up around the gym in between the stations that have the given exercise on a loop, right? So
Okay.
it acts almost as a third trainer. And so when someone comes in, if they've been there, for a year, 2 years, like they know majority of the exercises, they can look up the screening and start, and then the trainers will come over and correct their form and so forth. But it does help kind of get rid of that golden handcuffs, because if you have your trainers writing the workouts for you, right? Let's say you want to only own one location, you're the only one writing the workouts, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to escape, being kind of handcuffed to your business, then you would end up having your trainers write the workouts. Now, members will start to know who's writing what workouts, and will only come to the workouts on the days that their favorite trainers
Yeah,
are
their
writing.
favorite trainer, because his or her routines are the best, and I'm going to go to that one. And you've got other ones where it's just empty. Yeah.
And then and that's fine while that trainer is there.
Sure.
But typically a trainer is going to end up outgrowing you if they know that they kind of have that kind of following. So if they leave, all of a sudden you have a retention drop, right? And now all of a sudden all your members follow the trainer because they want that workout. They can care less about the brand. They just want the same workouts.
Yep.
So for us, we give the workouts, and then the trainers have the flexibility to give the different modifications and, step it up in their own little ways. But that way members are signing up for the brand and for the workouts of the gym, and then they're bringing their friends, they're referring people because of the engagement that the trainers are giving them.
Love it. Now, do you find that, and it may be a little early in the game, but are you finding that you're retaining trainers as a result of this, or is it still that same kind of revolving door over time?
No, one of our trainers, that he's the managing trainer, he's actually been with us since 6 months after we opened. So he's been with us the whole time.
Yeah.
But majority of our trainers are staying on. We have had to let people go as result of actions and stuff like that. But for the majority of the time, like, because we're not only just paying them. So for traditional bootcamp models, typically this is the one thing that we try to change. Was bootcamp models, they'll pay you per class, right?
Okay.
And which is fine, but the thing is, classes don't go back to back.
No.
So you get a 15-minute gap that essentially you're not getting paid, but yet you're required to be there for 4 classes. So you're working for 5 hours, getting paid for 4. And it's like, that just never seemed right to us. So since our classes, there is no classes and it's just free flowing, you check in and you clock in and it's like a normal job. You get paid for every minute that you're here. But then on top of that, now you get to earn bonuses. Now you get to earn commissions and all these other things that normally a trainer wouldn't do.
Yeah. So you've kind of broken the model. That's the traditional model. And I think it goes back to what you said at the beginning. I couldn't understand why everybody's doing it the same way and not getting as good a result. Well, because they're doing it the same way. They're just, I look at it as kind of the same model as a lot of the CrossFit stuff. It's like, okay, well, we have this model and we just keep doing it that way. Well, what if I don't want to do that? Yeah,
exactly. And you just got to think, it's like, what differentiates someone? If I'm copying and paste it, the only thing that's different between us is the walls, the color scheme, and the logo.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So now you're just competing on price. Like for us, we try to encompass everything. And then before we create a new service or a product, like, we have to really dive into the psychology behind it, right? Is this something not only that's going to benefit our members, but how are we going to basically launch this? What is the reason someone would want? And so everything we do is psychology based as well, instead of just like, oh, this is what is doing the market, let's just launch it, or this is what everyone else is doing, let's launch it. Right. So from the no class times, we have a body composition scanner where a lot of our competitors send them to a vitamin shop or to a supplement shop to do it. And it's like, do you guys not realize that you guys sell supplements? They sell supplements. You guys are sending them to the place, So it's like
that sells, the product that you're trying to sell to them. Yeah,
exactly. But with that also, it's like when you have someone checking their body composition, their body fat, muscle, all that stuff in multiple times in a month, now they're getting to see real-time progress, which is only going to aid in your retention of that client, regardless of supplement sales.
Sure. Absolutely.
Right? So things like that. Yeah.
So describe to me, because we can't see it from here. So describe to me a little bit about what the place looks like. So is it free weights? Is it kettlebells? Is it bands? What exactly do you guys have?
So first I'll describe the walls, because the
Okay.
walls turned out to be one of our signatures, even though originally it was just something I thought it was cool. But our walls are green, black, and gray with white stripes separating it, but it's those abstract triangles that go all over the place, right?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So that it's like a lime green, black, and gray. And so that ended up being one of our signature things, because when people take pictures and stuff and they see those walls, immediately it's like, oh, that's Strive.
Yeah.
But the weights and the workout equipment, all of it needs to be movable. So we don't have big machines and stuff like that cost thousands of dollars. And then if it breaks, all of a sudden now you're kind of,
Yeah.
shooting
Half
yourself
the
in
gyms
foot.
I've been to, like a third of the machines are down half the time. Yeah.
Exactly. So all of our stuff, we have kettlebells, we have the slam balls, we have the TRXs, bands, we have dumbbells, and even like some of those easy bars and stuff like that. But everything has to be movable, because station 1 isn't always going to be this piece of equipment. Correct. It might be kettlebells today, but kettlebells might be on station 7 tomorrow. Right. So everything's movable, but also it's one of those things where we try to keep it as affordable as possible. So any new equipment we bring in, there has to be a real reason, for us to bring something in.
Yeah, to make that investment. Yeah. Yeah, you're not just doing it because it's the new thing that everybody else wants, that everybody else is getting. Okay, there's got to be a reason, and it makes sense for the workouts that you're doing.
Exactly.
Love it. Well, it sounds like a relatively lower cost, not low cost, but lower cost buy-in to get a business up and running in this business.
Yeah, I mean, that was our whole thing. It was like, you in the gym industry, especially, because I mean, before we launched the franchise, before I opened the gym and came up with the model, I was even looking into buying a franchise.
Yeah.
Right. It just made more sense. Someone's already walked that path. Like, let me just, hop on board. But a lot of the buy-ins, they can get crazy, especially for bigger box gyms. And so our model is like, why not make something that is affordable enough where a personal trainer can really open their gym, right? Because every personal trainer has that dream of opening a gym. Yeah. And then you go to look at it, and all of a sudden it's, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or close to, over $1 million. It's like,
yeah, I mean, if you get a big enough one, it's insane.
And so,
with the equipment and everything.
Yes, I mean, some franchises that are like the bigger locations, like I know some of them are a few million even to it. And it's like, that's not a buy-in for everybody. I mean, that's not a bad model. It's just, that's just not affordable for everyone. So for us, it was like, where can we create this? And that was, okay, well, with our thinking about it, like the no front desk person, all those things, trying to keep overhead low, but not hurt the system or hurt the, the experience the customer would get, really took into place. So like our model can be launched anywhere between 150 to 250 basically. And the real differentiating factor is, location, right? And basically whether the location needs a full build out, or what we try to do with our real estate team is find locations that are more vanilla shelled, which is, I mean, our main location used to be a GameStop, right? Yeah. So it's like, we just paint the walls and, redid the floors, and we're good to go. No tearing down anything and sell it.
All the equipment's movable, so you just move in and go at that point. So exactly. It makes complete sense, and it is way less risk to get started, and I would say with switching up the routines and everything else, then people just don't get bored. I mean, it's like every week you're coming, or every day you're coming in, or every week you're coming in, it's changing up, and you're doing a different workout. So you're kind of doing the I guess boot camp in a box at that point, just way better.
Exactly. Yeah. And the nice thing about it for members is like the fact that, like, let's say today is, core and cardio. Next week, on Tuesday, it's not core and cardio. We have a different muscle split. So not only do we switch the actual workouts up for those muscle splits, but we switch up the entire weekly muscle split, so that people that can only come in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday aren't doing the same muscle groups every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So that's fantastic. No, I think it's a genius idea. I mean, once again, I just love the kind of moving target as far as the class goes. Hey, whenever you show up, just jump in the line, and you might be on station 3, and you'll get your way back around to station 3, and you're done, and maybe you do another round, maybe you don't. I love it.
Exactly.
Well, cool. So what's kind of the future look like? I mean, if you were to fast forward, let's say 5 years down the road, what does it look like for you?
I mean, 5 years in, we're, at that point, I want to be around the 100 location mark,
Okay.
and then, but at that same time, we are going to be launching a few different avenues for the franchise system. And more so, anything that we do launch from the franchise system, it's to benefit the franchisee. So for example, like supplements, we plan on rolling out our own supplement line so that we can lower the cost of the wholesale cost for the customer with keeping the margins, just as good. So at that point, members, the franchisees can save money and make more money and those things. And then that way it creates an exclusivity where you can only buy those products in one of the locations and so forth. But the majority, honestly, 5-10 years, like I'm not trying to sell the business. I'm not trying to, I love what I do, so I love helping people, transforming people, and giving the opportunity to someone that wants to be a business owner or even extend their business portfolio, being able to impact their life. That's my main, purpose.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, let's transition to the fast 5 questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So first question, you wake up in the morning, business is gone. You have $500, laptop, computer, place to live. What do you do first?
Honestly, do I have social media accounts?
You can set up, they're free.
Okay. So I would set up a social media account and I would start, since I'm already in the fitness industry. I'm not trying to, I wouldn't try to learn something new. I would go with what I already know. And what I know is fitness, right? So I would immediately start putting out just free fitness content, free tips, free advice, and so forth. And then as it started to gain a little bit of attraction, then I can use some of that $500 to start boosting some of those posts and creating, basically a lead generation. And then if I can get one client from there, now all of a sudden I'm going to recoup that 500 fairly quick.
Nice. I love it. Love it. What's your biggest business mistake you've ever made?
Man, there's a handful.
Pick one.
I would say more of a recent one before the franchise, was on board. We started off with this gym management software, and we started with them just because it was the first one that we saw. We knew they were a big company, but the mistake was the fact that not doing my due diligence and seeing what other companies were out there and taking a step back and actually, seeing what was on the market. So we went with them. We were with them for a year and a half. And then we went to launch the franchise. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we'll give a discount to your franchise, but your price goes up. And I was like, how does that make sense? I was like, I'm bringing you business.
I'm bringing you more business and you're charging me more. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And then your discount, essentially, how the math worked out was I was paying for their discount. I was like, that doesn't make sense whatsoever. So then I had to, take a step back and actually start, interviewing other companies, which I interviewed like 30 of them. And then we had to migrate, the systems over, which that was the mistake of not doing due diligence beforehand and having to do that after the fact, because when you go to migrate, contacts and payment processes from one to another, there was a handful of mess ups, and that was a huge hit.
At least that occurred when you only had a couple versus hundreds of them, and finding out these guys went completely off the deep end with their. It doesn't require being a good business person to be a good tech person. So
so I would say that was the biggest mistake. It was just realizing that you can't always just move fast. Sometimes you need to take a second and think about it.
Well, and especially I think in especially in the franchise world, I mean, you're the one that's doing that due diligence, because you might have people that don't know what to do or what to look at, and you've been working in that world. So I think it was a good lesson to learn. It's a painful one, but it was a good lesson for you to learn when you did, versus years down the road and then having to unwind the mess that you had. What's a good book that you'd recommend for your audience or for our audience?
I would say The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willings. I would say my own book that just dropped today, but I want to not be biased.
We'll come back to that in a minute. Yeah.
but no, Dichotomy of Leadership, because not only does it help you get a different perspective on being a leader, but it gives you a perspective on just the way you view yourself, or the way you can view your relationships with your family and stuff like that. Because you have to realize, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and sometimes she doesn't do what I wanted to. And then it's like, you'll blame them for not doing it right. But it's like, It's my fault for maybe not explaining it enough, right? So I think that's a really good book for anyone to read, not just a business owner.
I love it. Fantastic. What's a tool that you use in your business every day that you might recommend?
I would say a CRM. This is something that we did not use in the beginning. And surprisingly enough, I mean, not surprisingly, I didn't know about it either. But, even still now, like I meet so many business owners and they don't know what a CRM is. And they're tracking their clients, or customers or leads all on like a Google sheet. And then they're calling them and so forth. With a CRM, like all that stuff can be automated and you can track it. You can leave notes and all this stuff. So it makes it a lot more organic, because in the beginning, me and my business partner were calling leads and I was like, wait, which one did you call last? And he's like, I think it was this one. It's like that was not an effective
well,
system.
And as you expand, it's like, okay, all right, my sales guys, okay, I'm going to assign these, 100 people to them and everything else. Yeah. If you can't do that, it's a mess. So
so CRM is definitely essential.
It's a winner. So, all right, last question. What is your definition of freedom?
Freedom is living the life that you envision, right? Like for me, I actually love working. So like, I love business. I mean, fitness is one of my true passions, but I love the game of business itself. So I think freedom is being able to do what you want when you want. Right. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be, feet up on the beach with a Corona in your hand. If that's your version, by all means, make it a possibility. But being able to do what you want when you want and living the life that makes you happy.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like we talk about, Freedom Day is work optional lifestyle.
Yep.
You have the option to work or not at that point. So, you choose to work. I'm the same. I reached my Freedom Day in 2022, but I wasn't going to just sit and whittle wood on the front porch. I get to get up and do what I want to do every day. And some days, it kind of sucks, but I always know that I'm at least doing what I love doing. So it sounds like you're the same.
Yeah. And I will say that, with saying that some days do suck, but that's what makes it so much more worth it on the days that don't suck. Right? Otherwise you would just get bored and be like, oh,
yeah, it would it would start to get to the point where it would suck all the time at that point. But I mean, you get to do what you love way more than the stuff that you hate. And, I've reached a point now where I also can get rid of the things that I hate, either by hiring somebody or just saying, no, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's what I consider freedom. So you're thinking the right way. I really wish you great success with this. I mean, it sounds like it's off and running, and it's actually somebody in the gym industry that's using their brain instead of just copying what everybody else is doing and, doing what everybody else is doing and assuming that they're going to get a different result.
No, I appreciate that point.
So good luck for you. Be safe out there. I know you're in a good position, but just be safe, because that can change. So hopefully it all works out for you and your family. So if somebody is interested in learning a little bit more about you, learning about, hint, there's a book that's out today. Where's the best place to get that?
You can find everything about Strive, about the book, everything on my website. Just Devan, Devan Gonzales, GONZALEZ.com.
Perfect. Devan, thank you for being on the show, man. I appreciate you. Once again, wish you luck with all that. And folks, join us here on the channel. We've got some cool new stuff coming out very soon. The Freedom Day book, Overcoming the Retirement Trap, is going to be hot on the presses probably by the time this comes out. So go to the freedomdaymethod.com, www.freedomdaymethod.com. On there, you will also see a little information about our new community that we've created on Expertise TV that is called the Stress-Free Retirement Project. So more on that coming up. So once again, we'll see you guys back here the very next time.
All in